Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Coaching Uncovered podcast. My name is Chris Berry, and I am going to be your host for today. Joining us, we have Sandra Clark. Sandra, how are you doing today?
I'm excellent. I love Mondays.
Yeah, Monday. See, since the first time I met you, your energy is there, and it makes such a big difference with the energy. So I agree. Mondays are great.
Yeah, all
uh,
things are possible. Monday, this is the week. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get it done. It's going to be amazing.
mhm.
Now, by Wednesday, I'm getting a little depressed, but then by Friday, you can look forward to the weekend. So
Yep.
every day, there's something good.
That is true. That is true. Well, before we start breaking things down about your business and all the stuff that we're going to talk about, can you give everyone that is listening or watching an understanding of what you coach people on?
I specifically help people with their LinkedIn profiles. So I help them set up that profile to look professional, to attract people, but also to make people feel comfortable in using LinkedIn. I call it social media for the socially reluctant because a lot of people are just not comfortable putting themselves out there. So I try to find a way to make it semi-comfortable for them to do so.
Okay. I like it. And what made you want to focus solely on LinkedIn and helping people do this?
You know, when I started this business 14 plus years ago, I was going to workshops to learn LinkedIn, resume writing, interviewing skills to find a job. And people would come up to me afterwards, after the LinkedIn session, and say, "Oh, can you just kind of sit with me and help me? Because you seem to get it and I'm struggling." So I started with that. And I loved being able to do that. It just kind of resonated with me that this was a professional platform, that it was something that every professional should be on. It's not like other types of social media, although I did them in the beginning. And then all the coaching advice I took, coaching classes and whatever, was you need to have your niche, find your niche. And whenever I tried to broaden it out, it's like, no, stick to your lane. It's what you love, what you're good at. So I kept coming back to it. And it's fun, it's aggravating as heck, but I do enjoy it.
Yeah, very cool. So helping people walking through, and then it just kind of naturally went into people wanting more help, and then obviously then kind of led into doing it more. Over all of these years of you having your business, I'm sure that there's been plenty of ups, there's been plenty of downs on it. What would you say are some of the favorite parts of your business? And then what would you say are some of the biggest challenges?
Some of my favorite parts are just seeing those moments where you can transition someone to, "Oh, I don't want to do this. I'm so uncomfortable. I can't do it," to, "Oh, okay, that I get that." Because for me, it's like finding the reason that you want to be seen. Um, and people, I don't want to brag. I don't want to be talking about myself. And I say, what is it you want to do? Is it's you want to help people be better at something? You've got wisdom to impart. What is it you want to do? And if you switch your brain from thinking it's all about me to what do I have to share, you can often just turn people around. So that's really exciting for me when I can find that reason for people to be willing to put themselves out there. Um, some of the lows, if you like, is the way that I do my business is a pretty much a one-off model. I do work with some people longer term, but primarily I work with people. I get them up and running, looking good, feeling comfortable, and send them on their way. And I find that very gratifying, but it means I've got to constantly be getting new clients into the pipeline. So that sort of constantly working for that is hard work sometimes, but that's the model I've chosen to follow. So I,
Yeah,
I, I did that to myself.
yeah, understood. And is that the model that from the beginning you just had where it's more of one off with people?
It was what I started with. I
Mm,
did open up and develop like group programs where people could sign up for like a few months and especially learn to post more effectively on LinkedIn. And it was kind of funny because they loved coming and they would keep
mm,
signing up for more sessions, another group, and keep the membership program, keep signing up. So they
mm,
were happy, but I wasn't satisfied because I wanted to teach them new things. I wanted them to try it, come back and evaluate it. And they tended to not do their assignments, if you like, or not
mm.
try those things. And I'm a teacher. I want to help people change.
Hmm.
So I thought, I'm at a point in my life where I can do what I love,
Yep.
and I'm not loving it if people aren't following through. So I tended to stop doing that, even though they were happy to keep paying. So
Yeah.
like I say, I've done this to myself.
Got it. Okay. So we obviously talked about the initial kind of how it all got started. We talked about favorite parts. We talked about biggest challenges. And for most people, the biggest challenge, I should say, most coaches, the biggest challenge is how do I generate leads? How do I actually turn those leads into clients? So, kind of focusing on that first part of it, how are you generating your leads as of right now for your business?
So for me, one of the things I like about LinkedIn is that it is ideally relationship based. You're not just selling stuff, you're not putting out stuff out to sell because it doesn't work. It's about building relationships. So I I call it you make a connection to start a conversation to lead to a relationship, and a relationship if you're lucky to earn the privilege of doing business with them.
Mhm.
So on LinkedIn, you can do that. You find appropriate people to connect to, and LinkedIn is very searchable for the right kind of people. You connect with them, you find the why they might want to connect. You try to add value. A lot of the time it's nothing to do with my services. It's like some kind of help they need. I refer them to somebody else. I give them a tip, maybe free help on LinkedIn. Just be seen as the knowledgeable, helpful person. So when they do need help and are willing to pay for it, or they know somebody they want to refer, they refer them to me. So definitely being visible on LinkedIn is a part of it. When you are on a rented platform, you can never, or a borrowed platform, if you're using the free version, it's never guaranteed that you'll keep it. So I also have my own email list that I've built up over the years to a few thousand. And that is a way of staying in touch. So, although, as I say, I mostly work with people on a one-time basis, they will come back sometimes for help or to refer people. So they get my LinkedIn tips twice a month. And it just, even if they don't read it, they see the headline pop up and they're reminded of me. So I get people like years later and they think it's just a few months ago that we worked together. And I'm going, no, that was, 7 years ago or something. And they're amazed. But, staying in touch, being visible. So the email list is very important. Being visible on LinkedIn. I've done very well on Google searches. I don't pay for SEO. I haven't done a lot of fancy things, but I learned a couple of tricks, if you like, or techniques on my website. And again, part of that has to do with niching. I found a couple of topics that people really did searches for. I've got a YouTube channel. Of course, Google owns YouTube. So they love that. So people do searches for these couple of specific things. And I will pretty much always show up top of an organic search anywhere in the world for these couple of topics. And because of that, Google promotes me for other things. Like I'll show up high in a search for LinkedIn coaches, and I'm a small time player compared to people who have huge audiences. So, for some strange reason, I'll take the gift. Google loves me, and I show up really high in Google searches. But having the website, you don't want to spend a lot of time and money on it, especially if you're a new coach. People go down that path, it's a trap. But having it there, keeping it fresh, updated on a regular basis. If you've got a YouTube channel, if you do videos, great. They play very well together. And then those same videos you can have on LinkedIn. So you multi-purpose all the collateral you do.
Mm.
So my email list, being visible on LinkedIn, and keeping my website at least updated and fresh are probably my primary things. I used to do a lot of in-person networking. I
Mhm.
used to do a lot of in-person speaking. I did at least 20 events a year in person. Just before COVID hit, I decided I was going to do them virtually because going in person is a huge time sink. And then I said, okay, I'm going to go all online. COVID hit and it kind of supported me. And I thought I would do far fewer events, but I actually did more,
Mm.
still at least 20 online, and actually more of them paid than when I was doing them in person.
Hmm.
So that helped. I'm not sure it was a really good business development opportunity for me, although it did add people to my mail list, which ultimately leads to staying in touch. So they all play together, but I was told that that should be a good idea. It's fun to do, keeps me on
Yeah.
my toes, but I'm
Mhm.
not sure that it's effective for business development for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Understood. And so you talked about the LinkedIn, you talked the email list, talked the Google search, talked the in-person stuff. Of them, would you say LinkedIn is probably because obviously that's what you teach. Is it, well, I mean, it could also even be SEO because you've had a lot of things built in for a while. What would you say is kind of the biggest lead generator, let's call it, for your business?
I should be better at keeping stats, but anecdotally, I would say Google searches,
Okay.
which
Got it.
sounds counterintuitive, but they kind of play together.
Yeah.
Sandra Clark is a very common name. What
Mm,
can I say? So searching for my name is not very effective, but having the specific topics seems to be effective. So Google, of course, LinkedIn plays into that. The staying in touch with people, especially you get older, you've been around for a while, and people are going, "Are you still doing this?" It's like, "Yeah."
mm,
Um, I think, to do just one thing is probably not a great idea. Um, if I was to drop something, what would I drop? Definitely the presentations, I guess.
hmm
Um,
Yeah.
but Google is works really well for me.
Yeah. That's awesome. So people obviously are coming in from LinkedIn, people are coming in from Google. You have your email list that you're using to nurture them. When it comes to nurturing your list, what are the biggest things that you're doing? Is it just giving tips on, hey, here's how you can grow your LinkedIn, or here's the latest and greatest? What are the things you're typically doing to nurture these people?
It's it's helpful tips because people start to think of me, oh, who's an expert on this? And you're in their mind as
Mm,
an expert on this. So it works well for me. I used to be a teacher many years ago.
mhm,
And once a teacher, always a teacher. So I
mhm,
always come to it from that approach. I am not a good salesperson. I've taken training on it. I've tried to become better. And, I try to do all the best practices, relationships based sales, all the rest. Just not good at it. What can I say? So for me, just being the teacher, the educator that people come to if they need that help is the thing that works best for me.
yeah, understood. So we've talked about very in depth all the different ways that you're using to generate leads, to do all of that. You mentioned sales. That's obviously part two with a lot of coaches. Like if we want to get new clients, that's what we need to do. So as you're going through, I know that you mentioned you've done a different couple trainings and it's not maybe your favorite thing to do. What do you typically walk people through on the sales process to take them from a prospect into a paying client?
For my own clients,
For
um,
like you, yeah.
uh, so one is like they'll do a consultation and they
Mm,
get to know me because LinkedIn is it's like a personal thing. You're exposing your vulnerabilities, you're putting yourself out there. So people need to know, like, and trust me.
hmm
So doing a call with me, feeling comfortable, sharing a little bit, I'm not kind of a private person, but I do share stuff about myself. My profile has personal information about me. My website has a lot of personal information because people will say, oh, I can relate to her. She's been
hmm
there, done that. She's had a life-threatening illness. She's been laid off. So they feel comfortable. And then out of that, they either, if they know they need LinkedIn help, they may decide to book right away. Or I'm not pushy. It's not my goal to do that. It's just like if I'm the right person and they can afford it at this time, I'm going to stay in touch. I'm going to follow up with them by email. I'll send them a video. You can send videos within LinkedIn that can be quite effective if people aren't responding to you any other way. And I just stay in touch and they go, okay, I'm ready now. And some people are ready right away, some a few weeks. And I have had some many years later. It's like, okay, now I'm ready. I've gone through my divorce. I've put some money aside. I know what I want to do. My kids are out of the house enough of the day that I can do this, whatever their reason is. It can take a while. So I know there are certain strategic things one should do, could do. If I was starting in my business, there are all kinds of things I could and should do, but I'm kind of not starting in it and I'm not looking to grow to a big business. But certainly, if somebody was starting, there are a lot of things in the business development side of things that they really need to do.
For sure. Well, I mean, you touched on, in my opinion, a very important topic of is not even the fact of saying this one thing right or that one thing right or this slick thing to get them to want to buy. It's understanding the person when they're ready and nurturing, right?
Mhm.
And ultimately just going through them by you having, for example, this email list, by you just having these things and staying in front of people, people naturally come back and say, hey, I'm ready, right? This thing happened, that thing happened, I'm ready now. And that obviously it's been working for your business.
Mhm.
So okay. So we talked about marketing, we talked about sales. One last thing that I am really curious about before we begin to go ahead and wrap up is if you were to, knowing what you know now, go back to Sandra, day one, just getting started in her business. What one piece of advice would you give to yourself?
Um, find your tribe, find your people, your community. Um, I thought my community was going to be coaches, and I thought I was going to become an executive coach. And then what I found that wasn't what I wanted to do, but I love the people. So they ultimately became my clients as well. But I love the people. And through those people, I learned business strategies, techniques, what virtual assistant support I needed, what CRM I needed. But that community, because especially if you work on your own from home, it can be lonely. So I say I did do that, but maybe not right away. So
Mm,
I would say do that first. And the first community you find may not be the right one. You might have to try a couple, but definitely find your community, your tribe.
yeah, it's awesome. Well, Sandra, thank you very much. It was awesome having you on as a guest. For anybody who was interested in connecting with you, whether it be they just really resonated with your message and how you frame things and all of that, or maybe it's, hey, I want some help with my LinkedIn. What's the best way for people to get in communication with you?
Okay, so LinkedIn, obviously, I'll
Mhm.
usually show up fairly high in searches, even though there are hundreds of us. Um, email me, Sandra at LinkedInMentoring.com. Or go to my website, linkedinmentoring.com. I have a lot of helpful articles on there that I try to keep updated so that you can search about section, headline, and get helpful information right there and learn, get to know me a little. And you have to appreciate my sometimes quirky sense of humor, which not everybody does.
Yeah, that's
But
awesome.
yeah,
Well,
any of those
that's
ways work.
perfect. That works. Well, Sandra, thank you once again. It was great having you as a guest, and I'm sure we'll be talking more soon.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Chris. See
Of
you
course.
online.
Okay. Yes. See you online. Okay. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
If you guys like this video, make sure to go ahead and like and subscribe. And if you'd also like to watch another episode to see how you can continue to grow your coaching business, go ahead and click right here.